Hello, I am Radagast, at your service. So, the ambassador had an interview with Ron Van Dyke, and I'm doing my follow-up. It was something that I did initially. It's interesting because my original Ambassador Red Dragon family synopsis, which is kind of what got me involved here, started a kind of a pattern where when anything the ambassador goes out and says publicly, he now enjoys me commenting on bringing, I guess, it's a form of translation. Obviously, that translation is really more an expanding, because he speaks in a terse, brief, shorthand kind of way, which in many ways allows him to say a lot. Because when you don't fill in a lot of many unnecessary details for the big picture. I understand for a lot of people the details that the ambassador leaves out are crucial for them to move forward. So it's really not about them. Their need to move, their ability to move forward is really around rearranging what they hold as important. So really, I'm going to kind of go through what was said, and it really started out with the mission: true peace. A peace of mind, spirit, and body. And peace isn't just freedom, because a lot of people, given their freedom, wouldn't necessarily find peace. Oh, I see. I didn't get the tobacco stain off my hand. I could probably spray that while I speak. And so peace of mind, body, and spirit is really what will free people. And so, peace of mind is very much tied in with the other two. I mean, in matter of fact, if you don't have peace in any of them, you won't have peace in the others. I mean, you may have an enduring spirit in a body that is not at peace or not healthy, but you won't have that real peace. And peace of mind really is really tied into managing your emotions, because the mind itself, the true mind, as as the area, the sphere, the chakra even of the mental processes, is not one that is meant to really be mixed in with emotion. Emotions are their own data. It's kind of the way how the sense of taste is tied in with the sense of smell. How when you look at something, let's say on a screen, if you have the visual and the audio, you're taking two things and kind of synthesizing them into one. Turn off the audio, and you just have a picture, and you'll be focused on that, and vice versa. Take away the picture, you'll just have the audio. So it's really kind of about sensory input, and the real input that the mind wants is from our emotional body in the form of feelings, not emotions. Emotions are feelings that have gotten turbulent, and often in the turbulence pick up mental energy. So peace of mind is really about the management of our emotions, which means about getting quiet enough, which means actually a non-emotional state, to be able to know what we're really feeling around any given subject. And the best way to find out is to hold a certain idea in your mind and then see how you feel about an idea, and then you can break it down. Just why do you feel about things. There's a real process to this, and this is an inner process. This is not a process you're going to get to from answers outside, unless those answers are to questions about how we deal with ourselves, fix ourselves, manage ourselves at our inner level. Okay, so that peace of mind, body, and spirit with my own commentary there. So the issue of 555 came up, and for the ambassador and the family, for who these numbers have great relevance, and they see it, this is their own code. I mean, in many ways, my own kind of personal code is this. Remember the old the upside down peace sign, which was meant to not give us protection and the blessings, and this is the right way. So this is like my own personal symbol that is very important to me, with with the consciousness. Now for me it would be kind of Gnosis and Gaian consciousness, but that's my own personal dogma. And so from my own personal dogma, dynamic personal dogma, and the inspiration, I look for people who have gotten their revelation or their plan in their own fashion, and regardless of the terms and cosmology they couch it in, it's their fruits. I'm not really looking for, I really don't need to know how they shape the cosmos. I'm looking for how the cosmos has shaped their hearts, and how that, and what words they speak, and the missions that they want to accomplish in their life. So I thought it was kind of, the ambassador in this one really just basically said, look, 555 is very significant for us. We're operating from it. It has deep cosmological and universal application. But for anybody, it's not. Nobody has to hang on to it. It's their personal dogma. It doesn't have to be your personal dogma. The only thing we should all kind of have a certain dogma for is making a better world, one that we're free and that we experience peace in body, mind, and spirit. And the cabal comes up, and the beast is fighting for survival. Don't feed it. And again, an iPhone is feeding the beast. It's feeding a bigger beast. I happen to have a track phone that you buy minutes, and because I barely use it, and where I live I can't use it, I've spent less than $100 in over a year, maybe $120, in keeping enough minutes and time on my phone for a year. Many people pay at least that per month for certain privileges, and that's just feeding the beast. And I don't need those kind of phones because I'm on a computer now. I will do my computer stuff at my computer, and when I go out in the world, I just need a phone. Because generally, when I go out in the world, I'm doing appointments, and so anything coming in can wait until I'm free. Because I can't do anything until I'm free. Okay, the beast is fighting for survival. Don't feed it. Freedom is needed. And freedom, the real freedom is needed, is freedom from what we hold as dear. I mean, for one of the reasons so many people are very focused on the monetary aspect of the ambassador's story is because they're hurting for any number of reasons, and some of them completely self-inflicted. Some of them. But most importantly, it's that money and the trappings of money are really what we worship. I mean, I know Russell Brand, God bless him for his message for what it is. A lot of people listen to his message because they want to sleep with him. I'm talking about the women. No, I guess I'm talking about some men too. But, one of Russell Brand's draws is the fact that he's an idol. And I think he's using his idolship with some responsibility, and so I would like to acknowledge him for understanding that he has an undue amount of attention. Some of it he might exult in, but still, there's a way, win-win. Service to others is, ooh, look at all this attention I'm getting. Is there anything I can do with this? Oh yeah, I can kind of speak what I think might help a lot of people because what I say is important to them, not for necessarily the right reasons, but how about if I say something important, this way here, there's no joke in them liking me because I've actually given myself some value. So the freedom from worshiping artificial things rather than life itself, or the Creator, whatever you find your greater purpose in, that is where the freedom is, and that's also where our sense of what's important and nourishing should be. The reason we are in dire straits financially is because of the way the world is set up. And generally, governments have turned into mafias and organized crime, except with really huge arsenals in the case of the Anglo-American access with their Israeli partner. And with the cabal, the whole thing is repurpose them, forgive them, and the repurpose is really what is important. I mean, I would like to get away from the whole idea of punishment. Punishment is vengeance. I only want correction, elimination of problems, riddance, not vengeance. Vengeance is, like I said, it's emotionally driven. Punishment is tied in with vengeance. There's repurposing, restitution. There are a lot of things, but I would like to see where there's not a prison anymore. People either can be made useful, and even if somebody turns out to be quite unmanageable, again, there can always be work camps, not slave camps, work camps, where you have big people who are capable of managing unruly people, but again, bring it into a place where if you don't act out, things are really okay, and that way you repurpose people, and you might even be able to get people to be able to re-enter society. And to me, even sentencing, what's the purpose of letting somebody out before they're repurposed, and what's the sense of holding somebody in after they're repurposed? So, I mean, we have to really break with a lot of old, silly ideas that we were taught were justice, and justice means punishment. So repurpose and forgive. And, the ambassador's saying he has to speak forthright when he's using terms like goldfish and ignorant. I get criticized for that a lot in the forum I participate of, not standing for any bullshit and stories and the emotional content and all the crap that comes. The stories. People are full of stories. And they want to be heard. But unfortunately, when they finally get the floor, rather than cutting to the chase, and especially if there's a question involved, we get the biography. And that wastes a lot of time, too. So and part of putting a message that really needs to cut and be heard, and then to kind of put it in a velvet glove, is to really hide the message. And if you mask the message, there's a good chance it'll get missed. So it just has to be delivered. And if people's feelings get hurt, they have to wonder why they're so fragile. I mean, this whole thing about, oh, you hurt my feelings, and I've said before, kids used to say sticks and stones may break my bones, but names can never harm me. If kids were taught that, again, it's time for adults to revisit that and grow up. Ambassador he has to speak forthright to cut, as I put it, to cut through the shit. Ambassador is, and I know that, he said this in the interview. I know this from sitting in with him. As we all know now, I'm part of a group of 8. So, and that involves a lot of time spent together. We are really trying to focus enough, and of course this is meant to bust the seams as soon as it can. This is only contained for coherency, enough to, once again, clone and burst its seams. This is nothing that's being planned is intended to be controlled or contained. The whole thing is actually to come up with such a good idea it becomes viral. To come up with the proper contagious ideas for getting things there. And of course, and by getting the message out, we're starting to reach other people. And some of those, not everybody who listens is having trouble rubbing 2 dimes together. Some people actually have things that they go, this has been sitting doing nothing, and we might be able to make use of this now that I'm aware of this, and I would love to find something to contribute. So, and also having somebody like the ambassador as part of a crew gives, for certain people, he lends a credibility because of where he comes from. So by all these various people, from the humble to somebody like the ambassador, being on the same team on a level playing field, trying to save humanity, it now attracts everybody. Because the humble to the high are represented in a common purpose and at standing on the same ground together, and that kind of equanimity is very attractive to people who've made the breakthrough and see the better world that we can have. So this is and this is really what's happening, and already is with the release. It was well received on Facebook. Contacts are being made. I have a feeling this is going to spin out very quickly. And the ambassador has said, and you hear it. It's not like he says it. If you doubt somebody's words, follow their actions. And again, I got some sense of the ambassador listening to the interviews, and now I have a sense because of a developing personal relationship, and there's been no variance. I mean, there is never like, there's a little. I mean, from thousands and thousands, if not, I don't know what the word count is now, of his interviews and interacting with him personally, and me. Sometimes, I mean, we said I'm the quiet one often. I mean, for all I have to say, I'm often the quiet one at meetings because I'm the observer and I don't have a story to tell. So I can sit back and listen. And that's kind of, so I get to really pay attention to what he's saying. I mean, word by word. And at the level where, again, I'm really paying attention. So any deviance, any weaseling would stick out in the narrative. And so that kind of consistency that I've experienced with the ambassador is actually statistically impossible unless you were just organically coming from a great place in your heart. And he experienced a lot of pain over the injustice and asked for participation and people to work to unify. I mean, that's really what he's after. The cabal is misguided by their greed and psychopathology. 2014 was a garbage year. And now the thing about sheep, now also it should be noticed that, I mean, sometimes if you go and ask what Chinese New Year this is, they'll say Year of the Goat. And I like goats. I think goats are nice and rambunctious. Goats have a great independent spirit. They're not malicious, but they will let you know when they're not happy. I mean, I've been at petting zoos feeding goats, and you're surrounded by goats. You can only feed goats in one direction. The ones behind you will let you know they're there. They butt you. I had somebody give me a good butt, and I gave him a good punch between the horns. Not a hard one, Again, they're doing. I mean, this is how goats talk to each other. So I gave it a goat. I talked to it in goat. And I got its attention. Nothing malicious. Just again, this one was particularly spirited, and I needed to, when the animal thing, if something is challenging you, you want to talk to it in its own language. So I gave it a good butt, something that would have a little, because I can go right between the horns. But a sheep is also a ram, and if you look at the ram, you'll see Aries. And if you know anything about, not even astrology, just energy, because astrology is is a specific study of energies and how they interact. Aries is red. Aries is the first sign. I mean, they show Aries as like a descending V coming, as if spirit coming into matter. But there's also the other way of representing the first chakra, where Aries is the breakthrough from primordial into existence. And so the sheep and especially in the form of the ram, is not all it appears to be. And if you have a good flock, the rams are taking care of everything, and the sheep can be about what they like to do. I mean, a lot of people don't like to be bothered with a lot of detail, but you're gonna, that becomes the job of the rams. And it all works as long as, again, the rams are protecting them. They're not ruling them. Shaping our future. We will do what we can to work with all who can work together. And that is exactly what Mission True Peace is about. It's about bringing true peace to this planet. And it's going to take everybody, it's going to take large groups of people being in alignment to do that. Somebody's always going to sit it out. Just the fact that there's yin and yang, somebody's going to be playing antagonist. But once you get coherence, antagonists are just things that are to be kept outside the kingdom of heaven with a wailing and gnashing of teeth. And of course, occasionally you go outside. Are you guys really want to keep on doing this? I mean, all it takes is a change of heart. And as I have this little line, will personally vouch for the heart of the ambassador. That's me. I will personally vouch that this man is who he says he is. Most importantly, regarding his heart. Everybody might go, "Oh, have you seen his bank accounts?" I would not be so vulgar as to say, "Oh, you need to prove this to me." I kind of come from the place where you show up saying, and everybody shows up with integrity, and if somebody's out of integrity, that shows up all by itself. There's no need for prostate exams to do this, and I don't ask the ambassador for one. So I will personally vouch for his integrity, his compassion, his heart, his clarity of purpose. Okay, I vouch for it. And of course, from my perspective, I laugh because there's the human element. The ambassador proposed on our coming out video. And of course, for many people, especially many people are just very emotionally based. So this, in the middle of all this talk about our, money and goldfish and being ignorant and building a new world, something very familiar like romance just makes everybody all nice and mushy. And I laugh because I don't really live there, but I shouldn't say I laugh. I smile. I'm chuckling. It's kind of predictable, and it's also very sweet. And so anyway, they went there, and he mentioned about arranged marriages, and basically how the elite do things differently. And if you recall in some of my former videos about us being our own elite, and I just think it's interesting how when I think of this, I realize that this is all about genetics. One of the difference between a kind of haphazard management of things and a more elite form of management is who's on your team, what's your team bringing. It's not just about bodies. And so when you look at how the non-elite breed, very often it's they love and that'll be nice, and genetics would be considered how elite to consider genetics. But then it's funny that many people will own dogs, and if you happen to own a purebred dog, one of the reasons, the price of your dog will depend on the paperwork of their lineage. Who won best in show or this or that. So it's interesting that many people who are not elite, who do own and breed purebred dogs, purebred dogs, are very concerned with genetics. I mean, in a way that they wouldn't consider in their own family. When, who's marrying who, and then you kind of wonder, this is really kind of funny how there are people who are all over genetics when it comes to dogs, but wouldn't pay the same mind to their own family. Interesting. So, and then you have horses. I mean, there are breeders of Arabian horses who have certain ways of breeding and understanding, and they're actually genetic secrets. Because that's how they breed horses, how they bring horses into being is something that they've held for millennia. So at the more aristocratic level, what we see in the form of marriage is, of course, there often love can be there. It often will develop sometimes just from a duty sense of love, like we're in this together, and you just fall into that love. But what we're seeing often in there is the care that both horse and dog, and of course purebred cats, the same care that people show for certain animals, humans also show for themselves. And it might not be a bad idea to start looking at things like that. Just again, to create our own eliteness. Now there are people who won't fall for that, and what I like about the world that we're planning is that those who want to live in one way live one way, and those who want to live another way live that way. Basically a world of haves and have-mores. And the have-mores only have more because they're busier. They actually care. So and even then the have-mores, again, in a world of haves and have-mores, having more is almost it was almost like, oh, that person's a little neurotic. Oh well, at least they're generating some good ideas, because entrepreneurial spirit is a good thing, and that would be a case of where everybody benefits, and the person who benefited everybody might be benefited a little bit better. But again, it all becomes who cares. It really does. The people who care will be the ones who are envious, ones who want what somebody else has that they could have if they did what that person does. That's how a real world will run. Where if you don't have something, it's because you didn't want it. Because anybody who had it wanted it and created the conditions. Here's a good example. I was once a watcher of Ron's videos and watching the ambassador story unfold. And I was one of the people who made comments under the videos, along with the Friars and the George Lincolns and the Johnny LaRoses and just a whole group of us who have been watching Ron's videos every single night, and then have our opinions. And of course the ambassador nights were hot nights. And I realized that writing in a commentary was not only somewhat frustrating because of the back and forth that could sometimes go there, people demanding that the ambassador go get that exam. and I just realized I really could join the conversation. That was what I did, joining the conversation. And so my first one was actually about my own cosmological stuff with Guy and stuff, and that was my intro into my first video. And then I got it that I thought that the ambassador and the message he was giving was being misunderstood. So I wanted to try and insert some clarity. And it was from my heart. That was the main goal. But because of the way I think, and being able to, in kind of fourth dimensional thinking, the various roads and possibilities, I mean, reality is different at a higher perception level. So you do everything for the right reasons, to get a message out, join the conversation, and being coherent, spreading the love, doing what you can do. I can speak. I feel comfortable speaking to people, and I'm animated enough, I think, not to be too boring. So I started making videos. But when I made the Ambassador to the Red Dragon video, I knew that it would be seen. I mean, how you can't have the ambassador and the dragon family, who are definitely monitoring what this story is bringing. And that's one of the things that also brings us to the Goldfish Bowl. I mean, the ambassador gives a talk with Ron, and there's all the comments there, good or bad, about the ambassador and the Red Dragon family. And who do you think's reading those comments? The ambassador and the Red Dragon family, looking in on the Goldfish Bowl. And the reason it's a Goldfish Bowl is because people forget. Anything I ever wrote underneath there, I always assumed it would be read by both the ambassador and the Red Dragon family. So I mean, I always had that presence of mind of being in a Goldfish Bowl, but not forgetting I was in one. Different. So that made me not a goldfish. I just happened to be a human in a Goldfish Bowl. And so when I started making my videos, I knew that everybody was like, gee, if only I could talk to the ambassador. And I realized that the only way that I would have some access to the ambassador is by being relevant. So I made my videos with the hope of being relevant to everybody. And when I made the ambassador and Red Dragon video, again, knowing that probably I would get hurt. I didn't know how I'd be received. Fortunately, I was well received, and now I am, on the team. That wasn't why I would still be making videos if I wasn't on a team. Matter of fact, I'd be making more videos if I wasn't on a team, because the team takes so much time and energy. But I was always aware of that, and so talk about creating my own reality. Aware of that, I did it because there was no losing. All I could do was help serve humanity with my sharing, but I was aware of other possibilities, and those other possibilities happened. And so basically, I inserted myself to a place I wanted to be through my own creating of a situation that got me where I wanted to be. That's how you do it, folks. On anything. Where do you want to be? Well, you have to be relevant to something. And it's, you might say, well, who are they to judge me? Well, if there's something you want to be inside of, even if it's inside of a cell, well, you have to be relevant to being in that thing. So you would look and say, it's about your own creativity and your own initiative and creating your own reality through action, not through meditations. I mean, you have to meditate to get clarity. You want to know what your heart is. Had I done all of this just to, I better do this. This will get me in with it. This is my shot there. And it really was never about the shot. It was just like I either make sense and I have validity in this situation, or I don't, and I don't lose either way, because I'm still taking care of my heart and outpouring to people. So that's a big part of the freedom. We all have the freedom to create ourselves to be seen if we're and heard, and then of course if we're relevant, we'll be part of the conversation. So please just realize how much power we have in ourselves just to decide and to do things. Okay, so we got good Facebook response. This idea is taking off and becoming a nexus for human talent and humane talent. And that's it. As we're starting, as this mission True Peace, or True Vision, the thing has changed enough times where I'm having trouble keeping my lips wrapped around it. But this mission of true peace is really about getting enough visibility, just like I rose myself into some visibility. This is about raising ourselves into visibility where the right people see things. I mean, there are people of elite means who are on board with this. Look at the Gambles, okay, with their Thrive movement. So there's this whole so by being visible, we can now be seen by people who go, oh, looks like I would be relevant. In which case they make them, they can tap any of us, and they're in on the conversation, and they can be in. So that's really, this is all about networking, and this is all about being seen, being heard, who's relevant, who's on board, let's do it. The idea of a closed team, once again, it was only for coherence and to keep noise levels down long enough to be able to get enough coherence to start busting it out. And that's what this is all about, busting it out. You have your own idea, again, create something, and before you know it, you're connected. Yeah, because that's what everybody's looking, this is all about looking for the connections. So, be connectable. By bringing something, because we all need to bring something. There isn't any right now. This isn't labor intensive. This is creativity intensive. Okay, so that will. And the more people that come on board, all you need is, if you have so much as one person do something like, I don't know, I have this beautiful place on a Caribbean island that I would love to use for a conference center. Boom, that person does that. Then next thing you know, somebody else is going, well, I have stuff to offer. I don't want to be left out. They'll think I'm one of the old cabal. Let me get involved. So this is the kind of infection, the contagion that we want to create. Infection, contagion. So that's like opening up the blockages. And again, the interesting thing, or disclosure on every level, whether it's about ETs, how the world is run, real world history, Atlantis, families that might have genetics that didn't originate on Earth or this time around on Earth. I mean, the story will get very interesting. And so even for people who are not religious, which is only a tiny portion of the people really, that that kind of stuff can be traumatizing. But for the religions, especially the big, any of the big religions who have kind of established for their followers that this is how the universe is, disclosure is going to be shattering to them, and that will be quite something to deal with. But we do have to respect religious beliefs, because again, there will come disclosure, and there will still be pockets of hardcore fundamentalists who will say that it must all be a lie, or they must have made the aliens out of like they're GMOs. They're not real aliens. We created them to. The Satanists created them to make us not believe in our story, something like that. And I wrote, only tolerance will be tolerated. But that's an absolute statement. And as you know, I don't do absolutes. And when it comes to bringing together both religious people with their various religious thoughts and the non-religious with the religious, one of the best things to do is to get into a common communicative language. One that doesn't have to praise Jesus, peace be upon him, any of the jargon, brother, sister, to the point where it's kind of almost cult-like. I'll say, hey brother, I use the term often, but I don't use it as like a prefix to a person's name. It wouldn't be like, oh brother ambassador, oh brother Ron, that's a specific jargon, and I honor it within their own organism, their own culture. But I feel that when cultures come together, just speaking language, the language of communication of ideas, and ideas that are meaningful for us all, and the filtering out of, a real conscious effort on somebody to bring forth your fruits for humanity and not be waving your religious banner and thinking that if you don't, that somehow you're gonna get a black star on your soul or something. We need to speak language together. Same thing with the New Age. Oh yeah, so I was directed to do this by Archangel Michael. Who cares? Please help. That's how I feel. We humans are responsible for our world. We are God's hands. And that is it. If you're praying for, God change the world, well then you better start seeing people getting ready to do it, because that's how God works, through people. That was always the plan. The plan, even when you look, like say in the Old Testament, Sodom and Gomorrah, we kind of have a feeling that might have been, technology. And, a certain group of people were given the Holy Land. Well, what did they have to do? They had to pick up swords and go kill a lot of people, utterly destroy them. So that's how God works, even when it's a bad one. But good or bad God, when it comes, if anything's going to get done, it doesn't get done with a wand and a poof. It gets done through sweat, tears, and blood, or blood, sweat, and tears. And big guns will be coming on board, and we need to be getting things done. Yeah, I really feel that. I really feel this movement is going to attract some bigger players, and only bigger in the fact that they have offering, again, whether it's land to do things on, a building to do things in, any number of things, just contacts, and of course always some source of our own empowerment of being able to fund it ourselves. Prepare again, because we have to bring down. There's a there's a system called the cabal that has to be seriously neutered, because they are they're highway robbers, and any funds always have to travel along a highway. And right now, the cabal are the highway robbers, and it is our job to make them cease and desist by not believing in their lies, not participating in their games, and starting to network with each other, waking each other up, loving each other, and producing a vision that we can all move forward into. So that will be the conclusion of my, in my words, on the interview that Ron Van Dyke did with the ambassador. Before all else, I see the God within you.